Hi, I'm Stavina. I'm in my Cthulhu Palooza t-shirt, and I was not intending on doing a video today. But yesterday, just got back from my honeymoon, and found out we're gonna have a friend over for dinner tonight, and I looked in the fridge and, well, we had some leftover tortilla soup. We had some leftover some other kind of soup. I think there's yams in that. Leftover carrots out of the, I think I roasted these at some point. One thing of shredded zucchini lasagna, that vegetarian lasagna that I had for the person that was house sitting for us. A chopped up Walla Walla sweet onion, some olive oil from some mozzarella ball sticks that I had made up in the past, and I'm going to turn all of those things into a matzo ball soup. Not a traditional matzo ball soup, but sort of a Hispanic American Jewish matzo ball soup. I'm great with leftovers, really. Just trust me on this. Now, soup is one of the easiest things to do as a leftover fix-up, because all you have to do to make more soup is add more water. So it's a really cheap and easy thing, but you need to decide how smooth versus chunky you want your soup to be. Now, the tortilla soup leftover that I've got, very tomato based, and it's, you know, it's got some chicken and such in it, but it's not very solid. It doesn't have big chunks in it. So spatula time. Whenever I'm working with tomato stuff, I like using a red rubber spatula. I find that white rubber spatulas get colored pink by tomatoes, so I just use the red silicone one. So because this one's texture was already fairly smooth, I'm gonna put that in the blender. Can't remember what's in this soup, so let's find out. Looks like it's a sweet potato soup all the way through. So we've got 2 purees, and in my blender we're up to 28 ounces. Okay, so I have these roasted carrots. Put those in. I'm up to 32 ounces now. Do I put in the lasagna? You know what? I shredded the zucchini that I used for this. If this was pasta, I would definitely blend it so that that flour and such could be all throughout and make it a thicker, creamier soup. But I'm just gonna leave this as is and then mix it into the soup when that's boiling up. So let's put on the lid, turn on the power, and just give it a few pulses. Okay, so now I'm going to put this in a pot. I'm going to add the vegetarian lasagna to that, stir it around, and then we'll get to making those matzo balls from a box, because it was easy. Okay. Now that pureed up really nicely, I'm going to stir in this lasagna. Now, luckily, Italian flavors and Mexican flavors, pre-Hispanic flavors, really do mix quite well. Usually Italian has basil and oregano. Oftentimes you get more cumin and cilantro in your Hispanic foods, but that tomato is like the combining flavor, so that's gonna work out all well. We're gonna now have little shreds of zucchini in our soup. And you know what? I was gonna add in some onion. I'm sure there's already a bit of onion in there, so I'm not gonna dump in the whole thing. I'm just gonna let a little bit of raw onion drop in there. Other things you can do to add volume to a soup is chopping up a potato or a yam, a sweet potato, putting that in there. You can always add in corn or another starch to kind of bulk it out. It doesn't always have to be meat, and it doesn't always have to be vegetables. I love adding extra onions in. It adds flavor, adds a little bit of texture. And the onions, once they're cooked, are actually a bit sweet. Now these are actually sweet Walla Walla onions, but any onions will add some sweetness to it. So to combine the acid of the tomato, the sweetness of that yam soup, the sweetness of the Walla Walla onions, and then all of the various spices from both the tortilla soup and the lasagna, I think that's going to work out well. Now I'm off to making matzo balls from a box. I always like to have a few boxes of some sort of easy mix thing, whether that's scone mix or biscuit mix. This is a matzo ball mix. You could have pasta as your go-to, just stir in and cook thing. But just have a couple of these on hand. I also like falafel mix. Just having those so you can turn leftovers into a quicker meal. You can always do it from scratch, but I mean, seriously, what are the ingredients here? Matzah meal. Matzah meal. So wheat flour, water, salt, onion powder, monocalcium phosphate, sodium bicarbonate, salt, olive oil, okay, garlic powder, okay, white pepper. So I could have made this myself, but hey, it's already measured out for me. Not gonna complain. So the directions say this package contains 2 bags of matzo ball mix. So 1, 2, okay. In a medium bowl, mix 2 large eggs with 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. Add the contents of only 1 package and mix until uniform. Let stand 15 minutes. In a large pot with a tight-fitting lid, bring 2.5 quarts of water to a boil. I don't know that I've got that much liquid. I'd have to do some measurement, some mathematics in my head for a bit. Using wet hands, form matzo mix into balls about the size of walnuts. Drop balls into boiling water, cover tightly, and reduce heat to a simmer and cook for 30 minutes. Okay, so I've already turned on the heat on that soup, trying to get it up to a boiling. Now I just need to do the eggs, oil, let stand for 15 minutes, then boil for a half hour. Cool, we can do this. Quick little tip, crack your eggs on the flat, not on the edge of the bowl. It just helps keep fragments of shells out of whatever you're cooking. Because if you crack it on here, you're going to get little shards just jutting up into the egg. If you crack it on the flat and then pull it open, you'll get less shells in there. Now watch as I totally mess that up after I described how you should do it. And then pull it apart. Ha ha! Well done me. There we go. 2 eggs. Now, this is the olive oil that I had some mozzarella balls marinating in. It's got a lot of nice spices down there. So all the oil is infused. This being a mega leftovers use up challenge, I don't want to use this clear oil. I want to actually get these spices down here. So I'm going to pour off some of the clear. And then just before those leaves start coming out, that's where I'm going to start measuring my 1/4 cup. All those tasty spices get into the measuring cup. I need a smaller spatula. Red's just going to be our theme for today. Okay. Can actually put in a little bit more of this oil. There we go. Now, all of those herbs are going to be in the matzo balls. So we're not going to have plain matzo balls. We're going to have something really nice and tasty. Now, as for the rest of this infused oil, just going to save it for later. And now we're going to do a little dump and mix. Everybody gets into the booth. So it's matzo balls, right? Is it kosher for Passover? We're nowhere even near Passover. It's like Rosh Hashanah right now. But is it kosher for Passover? Well, it says so right here on the box. Kosher for Pass year and all year round. Duh. It's got all the little stamps and stuff, but why? I mean, it contains wheat. Why is this okay for Passover? So, from my understanding, when the wheat is a raw flour and gets in contact with water, there's a chance that it could ferment and bubble and therefore leaven. And it's the leavening that's not good for Passover. You're supposed to not have leavened breads, which means no yeasts, no letting stuff ferment and bubble, no sourdough, no. And also ditch the baking powder. Like, ditch the baking powder and baking soda. You need to not fluffy up your bread. Okay, well, how can you have, flour products in contact with water and still have it kosher for Passover? Here's how. It's matzah. This is what matzah meal comes from. Matzah, particularly when it is kosher for Passover, is a specific type of cracker. Some people call it bread. It's a cracker that has been only in contact with water. I think it's less than 18 minutes or less than 15 minutes before it is fully baked. So from water getting added to the flour to this comes out of the oven, it's a really short time. No leavening can happen if you've got kosher for Passover matzah. So you can then take this that has already gone through that baking process, and as soon as it is done with that whole baking process, then you can grind it up and then you can hit it with water. Now, there are some individuals who won't even do that, because what if there was a little bit of raw flour that got onto these after they were baked, and that tiny little bit of raw flour then gets into your matzo ball soup? I mean, what if that were to happen? Some people say, well, better be safe than sorry. Don't get any water near your matzah or any other flour product. And the rest of us, we make matzo ball soup. All right. So now we're supposed to hand form these into walnut-sized balls, right? Nope. I'm going to use my little cookie ball maker. I also use this for making meatballs. I used this for making gefilte fish balls. I use this same little 1-inch scooper for just about everything, except for ice cream. It's too small for ice cream. Now, why am I bothering with kosher stuff? I mean, you've probably heard me talk about my Finnish grandmother and my German grandmother. You notice I haven't talked about a Jewish grandmother. That's because I don't have a Jewish grandmother, but my husband does. And I figure if I can just support him with a little bit of sensitivity and tasty foods that are new to me and fun to make, well, that's just building on a good relationship. My relationship with food. No, my relationship with him too. But, yeah, food has its place. Okay, looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wait, did I lose track? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14, and there's 3 of us. So one of us has one less of the matzo balls. I'm okay with that. It'll probably be me. Now, I just need this soup to get up to boiling. I'll pop those in. That's going to be 30 minutes. And then I will try to serve it right away. And I'll try to take a cool picture of it when that happens. Because, yeah, I want to be dressed nicer than I am right now for company. Alright, so this is what it looked like. And I took a picture just before putting it out on the table. And yeah, I did dress up nicer for company. And I didn't get any video of us eating it, but it was delicious. Trust me on that. Thank you for joining me in making matzo ball soup in this refrigerator revival. I hope I've inspired you to go out there and make yourself some soup. Because it's time for soup. Have a good day. Matzo meal. I'm gonna make some matzo meal.